Good morning, y'all. This is just a little bit late, and it's going to be a quick one, or I say it's going to be a quick one, but it turned out to be a little bit longer than I thought. Um, I've got a really bad cough from a sinus infection and an ear infection on top of that, and the medicine that I take at night for the cough knocked me out early last night. So that's why this is just now coming out this morning. So, as you know, the defense rested their case on Monday after their last witness, Alex Murdaugh's younger brother, John Marvin Murdaugh, finished up his testimony. On Tuesday, the first rebuttal witness for the prosecution was Ronnie Crosby. He's a former law partner of Alex Murdaugh's. Most of the prosecution's questions centered around Murdaugh's paranoia and distrust of SLED, and SLED is the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division. And Murdaugh, he had confused the two SLED agents, David Owens and David Williams, because they have the same first name. Things heated up, though, when Harpootlian cross-examined Crosby, because eventually the questions turned to the financial crimes that Murdaugh is accused of. Harpootlian asked Crosby if he had paid anything out of pocket to pay back the money that Murdaugh had stolen. Crosby's response was that he had, and that he estimated that millions of dollars had been borrowed and spent trying to help their clients and getting their law firm, back off the ground. And he also told the court that he didn't know an exact amount that had been paid back. And he went on to say, quote, "If you're implying that I would come in here and somehow shade truth in any way because of that, I would take high offense to that," end quote. Well, Harpootlian quickly replied with, quote, "I'm not concerned with your high offense," end quote. And he didn't just say that, he was pretty much yelling that. Then he shouted at Ronnie Crosby with, quote, "Are you angry at him for stealing your money?" End quote. Well, Crosby replied that he didn't have feelings about it one way or the other. You could really tell by the look on his face that Harpootlian was surprised by that remark. And then he asked again if Crosby had any feeling about Murdaugh stealing money and betraying him, and then said, quote, "I admire you. I don't know that I could look beyond that." And I have to say that I think Harpootlian's admiration was probably not sincere, and I believe that maybe the prosecution felt that way too because they objected to that statement, and Judge Newman sustained it. Well, once again, Harpootlian asked if Crosby was angry with Murdaugh over the stolen money. Crosby replied with, quote, "I have had anger with him, extreme anger, Mr. Harpootlian, because of what he did to my law firm, my partners, my clients, his clients, our clients, what he did to his family, what he did to so many people. Yes, I experienced a lot of anger, but you can't walk around with anger. You have to find a way to deal with it and move forward. And I've done that. And if you suggest, you are dead wrong. If you think I have come in here and told this jury something because of money, when we were talking about two people who were brutally murdered, then you're heading in the wrong direction." End quote. Now, y'all, of all the witnesses that I've watched on the stand through this entire trial, I really like this guy. He's like this real, genuine man. He's like so wholesome. But that was Ronnie Crosby. And after Ronnie Crosby was on the stand for rebuttal, next it was Dr. Ellen Reimer. And you remember she's the forensic pathologist who did the autopsies. And she was there yesterday to refute what Dr. Jonathan Eisenstadt has said about the gunshot wound to Paul's head. Well, following her on the stand was former Hampton County Sheriff Thomas Smiles, and he was called to the stand to testify about those blue lights that had been installed in Murdaugh's personal vehicle and Murdaugh's relationship with law enforcement. Now, y'all might recall from Murdaugh's testimony on Thursday afternoon, he stated that Smiles was one of the sheriffs that had gave him permission to place those blue lights in his car. But in Smiles' testimony on yesterday, he said that he never gave Murdaugh permission to install those blue lights. And he also testified that Murdaugh had never mentioned to him any of the threats to his family involving the boat crash. Paul McManigal, I think I said that right, McManigal, was the next to take the stand. And he talked about some testing that he had did over the weekend involving the raise to wake feature on an iPhone similar to Maggie's. Now, results from his testing showed that a phone that was thrown like a frisbee or shaken or picked up aggressively wouldn't necessarily wake up the phone. And his testimony was followed by Murdaugh's former lawyer, or former law partner and longtime friend Mark Ball. And in his testimony, he stated that he had never heard of Murdaugh's opioid addiction or of him being in a video taken at the crime scene just moments before the murders until Murdaugh had brought those two subjects up in his own testimony. Now, after he left the stand and what they're calling a surprise move, Attorney General Alan Wilson took over the rebuttal testimony, and that's when Dr. Kenny Kinsey took the stand. And y'all, I just have to tell you now that this is the other witness that really impressed me. This guy, he really knows his stuff. This is in my opinion, of course. Now, Tuesday, Kinsey, he took the stand to refute testimony presented by defense witnesses Eisenstadt, Palmbach, and Sutton. Both Eisenstadt and Palmbach had testified that the second shot to Paul was a contact wound to the back of the head. Kinsey said that, in his opinion, it was not possible for the second shot to have been a contact wound. And as far as Sutton's testimony of the shooter being between the heights of 5'2" and 5'4" tall, he said that the shooter could have been 6'4", like Alex Murdaugh, and he went on to say that there's just too many variables to reach an absolute conclusion like Sutton had presented. Well, now we're up to today, and so far that's all that's happened today is that the jury has been taken out to the Moselle property, and as of this recording, they haven't made it back to the courtroom, although just before I sat down to record, I did see that Dick Harpootlian was going into the courthouse. But we do know that closing arguments are to start today. Well, y'all, that's all I have for this update. I'm going to try my best to bring you an update from closing arguments tonight, as long as my throat allows me and as long as I can stay awake. Y'all have a good day.